Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Drive-Thru. I'm your host, Tony T. As we broadcast live here on Pick Dogs and Sports Chat Place YouTube channel and throughout social media. We'll get you out here well before the top of the hour. Give you guys enough time to get those bets into the primetime games. That's what we do here on the Drive-Thru, Monday through Friday here at 6 p.m. Eastern Time is over live free sports picks for the games beginning here at 7 p.m. Eastern Time and later. And to deliver those winners are professional handicappers over at Pick Dogs and Sports Chat Place. Let's take a peek at who's on the show with us today. All right, with us is Wednesdays with Mitch. Dana Lane will sign in a little later. We got Big Al McMordie, Sean Murphy, Al Ninos, and we got Rod Zawacki. And here's how they'll line up for this evening. We've got McMordie, Ninos, Murphy, Zawacki, Lane, Mitch, and then I will close this one out. All right, big NBA card, 10 games on the board from the NBA. Also 3 on the ice. A lot of NBA on the card tonight, so we'll have a lot of picks there, as well as a single here from the NHL. We've got a World Series for you pick as well. So let's get this one underway. We're going to lead it off tonight here with Big Al McMordie. If I'm over at Pick Dogs Premium, we're again doing fantastic work here for 2022. Was a unit leader at Pick Dogs in 2021. So let's bring in Big Al McMordie in right now with an NBA pick. Big Al, how you doing?
Pretty good. Just did the NFL show with Mitch and Jay. So folks can, it should be archived by now. Folks can see that. Jay and I actually agreed on most of the games this week, so it bodes well for how the week's going to go. Yeah,
consensus plays there with Big Al and with Jay. How did Mitch as well?
Mitch was wrong. Mitch thinks San Francisco's not going to. He thinks San Francisco's not going to win the NFC West division. So I've got a dinner bet with him set up on that. I've got San Francisco. He has the field.
Oh, he does. Okay. Oh, wow. Wow, that's something.
Just to win the division.
Okay, there you go, to win the division. Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens with Seattle here. If they come back down to earth, of course. We're looking at the NBA tonight here, 7 Eastern Time, top of the hour, as the Pistons will be hosting the Hawks. The Hawks favored on the road from open 7 now up to 7.5, total 229.5.
Yeah, I mean, this game sets up really well for the Atlanta Hawks. They were blown out at home by the Charlotte Hornets, 126-109 3 days ago, so they've had the last 2 nights off. Detroit, meanwhile, had to play last night. They lost, but they come into this game unrested. And this is actually the first of 2 games being played in the Motor City. They're going to play 2 nights from now as well. So this is a really nice setup for Atlanta. What I think people can do is kind of like, put half a play in today, and then if they lose, kind of double up on the game Friday if they're so inclined, because I don't think Atlanta loses both games. But I'm going to take them tonight. I think this is probably the better of the 2. All things being equal, it's a good situation for Atlanta. When you take a look at how the Hawks have done when they're playing an unrested foe, if Atlanta was off a double-digit loss, and now Atlanta's not getting more than 2 points, Atlanta's 55-23 ATS in that situation. So I like Atlanta tonight in this game. But as I said, if it happens to lose, I don't think it will, but if it happens to lose, I think it's probably a decent idea to maybe consider taking Atlanta on Friday as well.
All right, we got Big Al coming in here on the Atlanta Hawks, laying the 7.5 here against Detroit Pistons. Pistons really off to a horrible start defensively, playing terrible, near the bottom of the league in defensive efficiency, giving up 119 points per 100 possessions, a net rating of minus 12.3. And one of the weirdest trades, I still scratching my head in the summer. This was, I think, sometime in early July, is when the Pistons moved Jeremy Grant to Portland. And I thought Grant and Cunningham had something going on in Detroit. And they're getting 25 draft picks in 3 years from now. It just boggles the mind.
Yeah, I don't ever want to try to second guess, general managers. I guess, a lot of what they have to do has to do with finances and everything else. But I don't know. Sometimes you can't figure this stuff out. Look at my Spurs. They traded, DeJounte to Atlanta, which I think was a good trade, for both teams. And now what do the Spurs do? They go out and they win 3 of the first 4 games, including 3 games as underdogs, at Indiana, at Philadelphia, at Minnesota. So it's like your best laid plan just goes awry. What the hell are they even thinking? But, I know the players want to win. The fans don't want the team to win, but the players want to win. They're driving me crazy.
Yeah, well, that's there. Okay, we got Big Al at Hawks here, laying the 7.5 against the Pistons. This one here starts top of the hour. All right, Big Al, let's go over at Pick Dodge Prim tonight here. We're doing fantastic work, approaching here 3,000 units of profit for 2022. All documented over at Pick Dogs Premium. If you visit Big Al's handicapper page over at Pick Dogs, go down to pick history. You can see every play that he's released is fully documented, showing great results over the last 7 days as well. Fantastic results in NBA, NFL. All right, we got 10 games on the board from the NBA, 3 on the ice. What do you have going on over at Pick Dogs Premium?
I lost yesterday on the ice, so I was 0-1 yesterday. Today, I just have NBA, no hockey. I've got 4 plays in the NBA. We're hitting 63% in the NBA this season. One of the 4 plays is a rare 5-star play. It's I only have about 10 or 12 5-stars over a 12-month period. I haven't had one for almost 5 months. So it's a really strong play in the NBA. It's my 5-star NBA non-conference game of the month. The other 3 plays I put in a triple pack. I've got 2 sides and 1 total in that 3-game NBA package. So 4 plays in all today. And if folks want to join, they can also join for a week or for a month or for the season and team me up with one of the other champion handicappers here at Pick Dogs.
That's right, guys. Get on board with Big Al McMordie over at Pick Dogs. When you see the results here, nearly 3,000 units of profit for 2022, all documented. Big Al's got his NBA non-conference game of the month going on up right now. Get on board there. Of course, these individual plays and one-day passes are credit guarantee. You must turn a profit, or the amount you purchase is credited back in your account. For side credits, that's what credit guarantee is. A triple pack up there as well from the NBA. Of course, Big Al's big play tonight as well in the NBA. So get on board. Of course, good time to get on board with Big Al for long term. You may consider a 1-month all sports pass. You get all of Big Al's premium plays for a month. He'll be in action here from the NBA, as well as we've got NHL in action, the remainder of the World Series, NFL, college football, and of course, we'll see what your strategy is in college basketball. Big Al, as we're about a week from Monday, we have this monster card here. I know.
I was talking to my strategy is like to get no sleep, and it's not looking forward to that. I told my wife we have to go to Disneyland before college basketball starts. So.
Yes. And I would guess, also, too, Breeders' Cup is coming up, right?
Yeah, Breeders' Cup. It's at Keeneland this year. I don't know if I'll have the time to handicap it. People have been asking, and it's just so much work. Sometimes I'm just not able to do it, but I will try maybe. I'd like to go to it when it's in Santa Anita in 2023. I'm going to try to get out there for that.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun.
Do you go?
I was there when our Kong hit at 99-1, and the first thing I did is I looked back to see if anybody had that ticket. No one. I didn't see anybody scream and yell at all after that race.
Oh my God! Well, maybe we should go. We should try to go in 2023.
Yeah, it'd be a lot of fun.
Even if it's put it on the calendar.
Definitely. Put on the calendar. Big Al over to Santa Anita for the Breeders' Cup. Of course, guys, get on board with Big Al McMordie over at Pick Dogs Swim, doing great results here for 2022. The long-term pass is the way to go. You can, on that 1-month all sports pass, you can add a second capper with that 2-for-1 cap promotion. Even greater value there. All right, Big Al, as always, great to have you. So I got to ask you this because this tournament's coming up and it's going to get a lot of attention. I just want to know, yes or no, will you be in action at all in the World Cup, or that's something that you do, maybe if it was only in the summer?
I will not be doing it. I used to do it back when it was in the summer because I had more time, and I actually did kind of well at it, but no chance.
Yeah,
it's just I've got to pick my battles, and I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, I got you there. All right, Big Al, keep up that great work. We'll talk with you again tomorrow.
Okay, thanks, Tony. Talk to you on Thursday.
You got it, Big Al McMordie here on the drive. So let's continue here on the show. Here, guys, was joined by Big Al McMordie. Now let's go bring in the other Al, that's El Ninos. If I'm over at Pick Dogs Premium, where he does great work up there, off to a great start in NHL. He was a top unit producer last year in hockey, and of course, showing some good results here over the past few days. Let's bring El Ninos in right now. El Ninos, what's happening?
Doing pretty good. How are you, Tony?
Doing great. All right, here we go. We're going to the NBA tonight at 8 Eastern time as the Timberwolves here will host the Spurs again. So we got Minnesota here laying 9, total 235. We're going to see a lot of this here, as nothing really would do with the pandemic. This was just to help with the less travel for the players, less fatigue. This was something they negotiated way back before the pandemic. So you're going to see a lot of this here in the NBA, where these teams make 2 stops in these cities just to kind of avoid the less air travel. All right, so we got the T was laying 9, total 235.
Yeah, I don't mind the idea, unless of course one of the teams has a major injury. Then it could kind of ruin that matchup for the season. But rather than if they were to play like at different times in the schedule, maybe that player would be back in the lineup. But other than that, yeah, I think it's a great idea, of course. But anyways, I think we looked at this matchup on Monday night. That night, of course, the Spurs had the rest advantage. Now both teams had the night off coming into this one. But again, I think we're still getting a ton of value on these Spurs, still getting way too many points with them. They've already come out to a 3-1 start. I don't think many people would have had them with a better record coming into this matchup, or the last one for that matter. But yeah. So I don't know. The Wolves, a good team. They've got some good players, but I just don't want to lay this many points with them. They probably win this ball game. Actually, I think they do get their payback. I'd be a little bit surprised if the Spurs do pull off the upset again, although I'm not ruling it out at all. But yeah, I'm definitely liking the play with the points here. I think they just keep it close again, at least.
All right, we got Nino saying a little too many points here. Take the Spurs here plus the 9. Vassell was someone who has been ruled out of this game, but I kind of looked at it too, and I just kind of look at the Spurs as a team with 3 lineups, right? The way Popovich is kind of throwing everybody out there. He used to do this way back in the day. I remember 15 years ago when he would just really empty out, just play a lot of players early on, and then by about New Year's Day, he would figure up on his rotation. But of late, that hasn't been the case. But I think with this team here, with a lot of the trades, I think he's just trying to get to know his players out there, and he's really inserting players in and out of the lineup. And you're getting a little situation where you got rested players that aren't they're not playing a lot of minutes, and they're having some success with this. We know on the Minnesota side, it's really, and this is the thing too. They have done some studies in the NBA. If you lose the 3-point shooting battle against teams, you lose 80% of the time. I saw that stat come up somewhere. And one thing with the Timberwolves is they're hitting just 29% from 3, and they're 18th in offensive efficiency. That's going to be a big issue here for Minnesota if they can't make their threes.
Yeah, definitely not the best 3-point shooting team. Although they got some guys that can make them, but definitely not the most consistent shooters in the league. Of course, Rudy Gobert isn't going to help them there at all. But yeah, as you mentioned, the Spurs team, the rotation they keep going keeps the legs fresh, and it definitely keeps all the players accountable too. Sometimes you can just get a little bit too comfortable, and you're going to get your minutes no matter what you do on the court. So I think it's a system that's worked so far, and I think it'll
work. Hockey. It's like hockey. You got 3 lines.
yeah, a little bit. It's a different kind of exhaustion, I guess. Hockey and basketball, but anyways, keeping the legs fresh has worked for them so far, and of course, some people maybe not necessarily like once they get warmed up and get into the flow of the game, they don't necessarily like being pulled in and out of it. But again, it's worked so far. And I think it works at least enough to keep this game competitive. So
yeah. When you have a bunch of players that have no success, you have no egos. So you just got to go with the flow. You know what I mean? That's usually how it rolls, right? Until these guys get their big heads from winning so much, and they'll fight, they'll argue back. But no, anyway,
it's going to take a lot of wins, I think, to grow these.
It will, no doubt about that. So interesting to see the way this works. It's pretty interesting here with the Spurs team. Spurs plus 9 here against the Timberwolves. This one will have a start time here of 8 p.m. Eastern time. Already on Ninos, let's take a look over at Pick Dogs for tonight's action. As I said, Alex Ninos has been lighting up the leaderboards here. 829 units of profit over the past 30 days. That is all documented over at Pick Dogs Premium, showing profit in the NBA. Having a really good NFL season here to start the year. We start the big NFL game coming up tomorrow. But again, tonight we got a 10-game card from the NBA, 3 on the ice. What do you have going on over at Pick Dogs Premium?
Got a 3-pack in the NBA. I got a 3-pack where I threw my best and I guess only premium NHL play today. It's a small card in the NHL, so I found one bet I liked and I went with that one. And yeah, so again, if you want all the plays, you grab a long-term pass for just one sport. You grab the sport you're into, but I definitely think the long-term pass is the best way to go because all the sports been pretty hard. The NHL has kind of cooled off a bit, but coming off a pretty good season, so I don't expect to stay down there for long. So yeah, give that a look too.
All right, get on board here with El Ninos over at Pick Dogs. Premium seed numbers 829 units of profit. Tonight he's got his NBA three-pointer up there. He's got a 3-pack from the NBA that is credit guarantee, means it must turn a profit. The amount you purchase is credited back in your account. That's credit guarantee. As you scroll down his page, you'll see a lot of individual plays up there. He does put an NBA and NHL 3-pack together as well. And of course, the long-term passes here are great. He's already in action. He's got the winner for you of the World Series for game number 1 on Friday. So El Ninos is up already with that if you're looking for that play. But again, that 7-day pass is a really good value right now. We get all of El Ninos' premium plays here for 7 days. It would include all his baseball here. We're going to have, let's see, we got at least the first 5 games, right? Because we go Friday, Saturday, day off on Sunday, and then you got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So you'll get about the first 4 games from the World Series from El Ninos with that 7-day all sports pass. And then, of course, you'll get all his NBA, all college football, of course, all the NFL, where he's been doing great work. And, of course, he was a top unit producer in the NHL last season. So a lot of action here from El Ninos with that 7-day all sports pass. You can use the promo code 15 off at checkout, and that will take 15% off. You can also add a second capper with that 2-for-1 capper promotion. Even greater value there. All right, El Ninos, as always, great having you on the show. Continue that success. I know you'll be kind of looking at the World Cup if you have time, right? We'll have so much sports going on this year. It's a little different.
Well, yeah, I know Mitch prefers I stick to these sports we got going on right now, but I guess I'll have a little word with Mitch about it. I'm more of a Champions League guy, but definitely the World Cup is definitely fun to watch, and I guess if people want some picks, we might have some for them.
Yeah, we're going to see. I will talk to Mitch. When I talk to Mitch, I'll get what he thinks about it, because it's kind of, again, the scheduling is kind of weird out here. I know it's good out there. Maybe not good. I think it's only good in one part of the country, the Middle East. Other than that, I don't think none of the world likes this schedule anyway. But I would have preferred the summer. It makes it more summer. It would be great to have. But anyway, we'll take a look at that. There'll be a lot of sports anyway going on here that time of the year. Around Thanksgiving period is one of our busiest times anyway. All right, Al, keep up that great work, and we'll talk with you again tomorrow.
All right, thanks, Tony. Have a good one.
You got El Ninos here on the drive through. Let's continue, guys. If you miss any picks, we will recap here at the end of the show. Let's continue here on the drive through. Up next is Sean Murphy. You'll find him over at Pick Dogs. He has been on fire in college football. Picked up a lot of units over the week here as I updated the leaderboards. It's been fantastic here for the show. Let's bring in Sean Murphy here right now. Let me get El Ninos Skype off here my screen, and we'll go ahead and bring in Sean Murphy. Here we go, Sean. Sean, what's happening?
Hey, Tony. How's it going tonight?
Doing great. All right, here we go, 10 Eastern time. This has been the line mover of the day here at 10 Eastern time. Trailblazers here to host the Heat. Heat now the favorite at 2.5, total 220.
Yeah, I think I need to start sending you my picks later in the day because this has been a theme here every Wednesday. But when I sent it along to you, I think I had Heat +1, and now we're looking at Heat -2.5, maybe even -3 in this one. I think it's back down to 2.5 now, but I still like the Heat in this spot here. We've got the Blazers coming off the perfect 4-0 start to the season. All 4 of their wins have come as an underdog, and that's the situation they're in again here tonight. It's been an impressive start for Portland, but it's interesting. On Sunday, that game against the Nuggets, it's not as if they got a ton of scoring opportunities. They just pretty much shot the lights out, and that happens. That happens in the NBA quite often. So that happened for the Blazers in that game on Sunday. Other than that, all their wins have been tight. They've all been close games. We get the Heat here hitting the road off the 1-3 start. Miami's been kind of ticking up a little bit in terms of their pace their last 3 games. And we've seen them. They've held their last 3 opponents to 79, 87, 86 field goal attempts. So, they're locking in a little bit here better on defense. We look at this one here. The Heat are 8-0 against the spread. Their last 8 on the road after losing 3 of their last 4 games. That goes back to the start of last season. They've outscored opponents by 9.5 points in that spot. And then we've got the Blazers 11-26 against the spread. The last 37 times they've come off a win by 20-plus points against a division opponent. And that's the case here as they come off that 135 to 110 or whatever the score was there against the Nuggets on Sunday. So I like the way this one sets up for the Heat. I think the Blazers, we know they're not going to run the table. I think they get stopped here tonight.
All right, we got Sean Murphy here coming in this one here on the Miami Heat here, laying the 2.5 here against the Trailblazers. We know it's been Lillard a lot. He's been pretty much the hot hand there and carrying this team. And nobody really had a lot of expectations for this Portland team. This is someone they thought that they were headed the wrong direction. but the shooting has been there, and they're hitting their threes at 39%. And Miami, well, the offensive efficiency is about 105 per 100. So when you look at the net ratings here, can you get the offense here from Miami in this one?
Yeah, the Blazers have some good pieces there outside of Lillard. I mean, now they've got Jeremy Grant, and they've also got Anthony Simons as well. So some good pieces for the Blazers. I think there's going to be spots to back them, but I just think here, coming off those four straight underdog wins, I just think this is a tough spot to keep it going against the Heat team that, they've traditionally struggled. Last year, Miami took both meetings. Both of those games, Portland struggled shooting the basketball. So I just think we see a similar story. I think the Heat can kind of ugly this one up a little bit and take this one.
And it's always the first road game. You always want to see teams really want to get off that good start on these long trips. They want that first game. Miami Lane, because they know what happens as it gets deeper into a long road trip. You start to wear. Miami laying 2.5 here against Trailblazers. This one to have a start time of 10 Eastern time. All right, Sean, let's take a look over at Pick.com for tonight's action. As they said, doing great work here in college football. 1,744 units of profit. That is all documented over at Pick.com. Come off a monster day yesterday. Look at the last 24 hours here, plus 500 units. Last 7 days, all showing great profit as well. Looking over at Sean Murphy, showing profit this year in NBA as well. All right, we got a 10-game card from the NBA, 3 on the ice. What do you have going on over at Pick Dogs Premium?
Yeah, so coming off that 5-0 card, like you mentioned last night, 3-0 in the NBA, 2-0 in the NHL. Couldn't find anything I liked on the short 3-game NHL board tonight, but I've got 4 NBA plays on the go. That includes 2 10-star plays, and I've packaged the 3 totals together in a 3-pack. So we've got those 4 plays on the go. You mentioned college football. That's been great, 46, 26, and 1 this year so far. I've got my 2 weeknight plays up, Sun Belt game of the year tomorrow night. Looking forward to that one. And then I've got 3 plays up for Saturday so far. I've been kind of topping out at 5 or 6 plays on the Saturday card. That's probably around the number we'll have for this Saturday as well. So I mean, we won last year in the NBA, won in the NHL, won in college football. NFL's up a little bit here this year as well, so we'll look to keep it going this week. So great time to, like you've been mentioning, there's too many sports to mention. You talked about the World Cup. I always cover the World Cup, but I'm starting to question it here this year. I don't know if there's time to really squeeze that in November, December, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Yeah, it's our most busiest time of the year out here. Get on board with Sean Murphy over at Pick Dogs. Paying 1,744 units of profit here in college football. Coming off a monster day yesterday. Get on board. Sean has a 3-game NBA 3-pack up there right now. Get on board. Of course, this is credit guarantee. Must turn a profit, or the amount purchased is credit back into your account for side credits. That's credit guarantee. Sean's already in action here with Thursday and Friday college football. These plays sold individually. And also some early college football, Big Ten total of the month, Pac-12 total of the week, and a lot going on right now over at Pick Dogs with Sean Murphy with his plays and NBA Dominator. A lot of these NBA plays are sold also individually. A lot of plays, but again, your best value right now with the way Sean's running is you may consider that 1-month All Sports Pass. Got all of Sean Murphy's premium plays here for a month. It includes all his NBA, all his NFL, his college football, his hockey, the remainder of the World Series. College basketball begins a week from Monday. So here we go. This is the best time to get these long-term passes. These cappers are hot. You get the long-term passes because it's the best value instead of buying these plays individually. Just get the 1-month pass and use the promo code WIN 15 off. 15 off at checkout will save 15% off. And of course, you could use that promo code, and you can add a second capper with that 2-for-1 capper promotion. Even greater value there. All right, John. If we weren't busy enough, here comes college basketball, and of course these big cards. They start quick here in college basketball. I looked at the card; it's about 100 games or so to start off on Monday, and not too many marquee matches. By the way, it was disappointing.
Yeah, I'll be easing my way into college basketball. Probably not a whole lot of plays in the first few weeks of the season. NBA, NHL, football take up more than enough time, but in due time we'll get heavily involved for sure. Yeah,
with the coaching changes, the player changes, the transfer portals, you start seeing these totals go crazy as you got slow-paced coaches replaced with fast-paced coaches. You see the extremes here. So some coaches want to change philosophies. Whew, a whole lot to take in. And don't forget the teams that had those European tours usually get off to a hot start, like a team like Vanderbilt. Just keep an eye on some of those teams that had a little head start on everybody else. All right, Sean, have a great night, and we'll talk with you again next week.
All right. Thanks, Tony.
You got it. Sean Murphy here on the Drive Through. Right, guys. Again, if you missed any of our picks, we will do a complete recap here at the end of the show, so stay tuned for that. I wanted to bring up someone's comment before we went on. Someone asked a comment I want to respond to, so I'll go ahead and bring it up for you guys right now because it is a pretty good question, and I want to lay it out to people how we kind of format the show a little bit because sometimes we seem to be more heavier on some sports than others. Is Tony, are we ever going to start getting some NHL picks on the drive-thru? Let me tell you how the show works. So what I do is I set together an email that I send out to the group, usually the night before, hopefully the night before, or sometimes the morning before. And I let them know how many games are scheduled from each of the major leagues. And I tell them to send the pick and reply all, so we don't cover the same game. So what I'm saying is I don't really dictate to the cappers what games to pick. I put quality first. So when I pick quality first, that means the cappers can pick the game that they want to give on the show. So, but again, the only thing is we don't cover the same game twice because it's not good for the show. So the email gets sent out and the cappers pick the game. I'm putting quality first. I'm letting the cappers pick the games for the show. So that's kind of how we do it. And again, if you want some NHL picks on the drive-through, so we do have a pick today. We do have some of the cappers do. We got El Ninos puts a lot of picks out here for us. Rod, we got Chris when he's on the show with NHL picks. Sean will give out some NHL picks. We've got, a lot of cappers do as well. Brian Bittler, when he's on Mondays and Fridays, will give out to NHL picks. I'm not strong I don't really cover NHL a whole lot. You'll get mostly NBA from me. On occasional NHL play, I'll put up on the site. But again, the way the show basically works is I let the cappers choose the game because, again, if they choose the game, they own it, right? They're going to own it. And we're going to basically put in quality over everything. So that's the reason why you may notice there may be more picks, more sports than others on some shows. But we do get some NHL in there, indeed. So thanks for that question, Mel. It was a really good question. I was happy to answer that because I want to give a little bit of clarity on how we select the games here on the drive-thru. All right, let's continue on here on the drive-thru. Next up, we're going to go over to Rod Zawacki. Speaking of NHL, Dana Lane also comes in with NHL when he's on the show as well. Speaking of NHL, it's time to bring in Rod Zawacki. You'll find him over at Pick Dogs Premium, where he does great work. It's been great to us on the show. Rod, what's happening? Saving the show with NHL.
It's coming with NHL. I went for one yesterday, and we got a nice win. So let's not continue and get another NHL winner today.
That's right. That's right. Exactly. All right, here we go. NHL tonight. Blues here to host the Oilers. Minus 110 on both sides, total of 6.
Yeah, you look at this, and it looks like it might be a little rematch of the Saturday's game where we've seen the Blues win that 2-0. And coming into this one, we're gonna go at it a different way. We're gonna take the Blues in the first period, as we know the Oilers, their troubles coming out in that first period have struggled this season. They love to get down early in the first. They are 1-4-1 in the first period of hockey games this year in their first 6 games. Well, the Blues are 3-0-1 in their first 4 games of the season. And you look, Skinner's going to get the starting goal for the Oilers tonight. He's got a nice 169 goals against average and a 944 save percentage. And Binnington, the last time he faced the Oilers, posted a shutout. So he's continuing his shutout here. I think he can continue that shutout right through the first period here. He's 3-0 to start the season with a 165 goals against average and a 940 save percentage. So I like the Blues here. They've been making money. They made you money last season. If you bet just the Blues in the first period, you'd be up units. So it's continuing here. Let's take the Blues in the first period.
All right, Blues in the first period, minus 110 here against the Oilers. I know, Rod, you were in attendance on the 24th here. Well, not 24th. You saw the Oilers in action. And what did you we saw that back on the 22nd, that 2-0. 22nd, right? With the Blues winning 2-0. A little bit. When you watch a game on TV, it's something else. When you watch it in person, I've been to many hockey games in person. It's a totally different perspective you get from the sports, from the teams as well. You look at their conditioning, their positioning, their eyesight on the ice. The chemistry amongst the players. What did you take out of that game when you went in person that you would not have gotten watching on TV?
See, for me, what I took out of that game is just the confidence that the Blues have when Jordan's in net, and just his confidence. He looked like he made those 23 saves on the 22nd and did it without even breaking a sweat. And he's in the right position at the right time. He doesn't sway far from the net to get himself in trouble. Just this great situational goalie in the right spot at the right time and playing great. And that's what I noticed big. And I've been into a couple of Oilers games this season, and what I found is the Oilers early on in the game struggle. They give up the puck. They're not in the right place. They don't have their head in the game. They don't come out of the can and fire and ready to go. They take a bit. They're slow. They like I said, they make bad passes and they give away opportunities to the opposition in the first period. It seems like the Oilers need to be down and backs against the wall, down a couple, and get things going. Just example, the last game they played the Penguins, and same thing. They got down early and they came roaring back. But they've seen it in a few games against the Canucks. They get down early and they come roaring back. It seems they always play better when they're down 2 goals. I don't know what. That's why I love this first period here. Got to take it losing the first period. They're a team that comes out solid and plays a solid 60-minute game. The Oilers, I've seen many games that haven't been a solid 60-minute game. At the backhand of those games, second period, third period, the Oilers get solid. First period, not so good.
All right, time to reserve intent. Could be conditioning. We'll see how that looks there, and game strategies and whatnot. Film room studies. Lots goes on behind the scenes that we don't know about, and it transfers to the ice. Blues -110 the first period here against the Oilers. -110 is a return on that one. This one to have a start time here of 8 p.m. Eastern time. All right, Rod, let's take a look over at Pick Dogs Premium for tonight's action. Great results here to start the NHL season. 810 units of profit. That's phenomenal work there from Rod Zawacki over at Pick Dogs Premium. Showing great results here the last 30 days. Showing big profit here the last 7 days. Coming off a winning day yesterday. When you can go over to Pick Dogs Premium, you check out Rod's results. Also, college football making money. All right, here we go. 10-game NBA card, 3 on the ice. What do you have going on over at Pick Dogs Premium?
And over at Pick Dogs Premium, we got my $15 bookie buster going. It's 9-2 in the last 11, so it's been rolling along and definitely making us money there. So scoop that up, $15, gets you that play. Or I've got my NHL hat trick, and you can see what we've been doing in the NHL. Top leader in the NHL in this early season. So jump on board, grab my NHL hat trick. I've got 3 plays I love tonight on the ice. Up to a nice back-to-back winning days to start the week. We're going to continue it rolling here. I've got my NBA blank check as well. You can scoop it up. Had a nice winning play in the NBA yesterday. Looking to keep it rolling again as well here in this one. So grab it. Or, as we say, we got so many sports going. I'm capping hockey. I'm capping basketball. We got college football, NFL football. Your best deal is to grab a 3-day, 7-day, 30-day. That way you don't miss out on any of those plays. Or pair me up, 2-for-1 capper deal. You can see what all the other cappers are doing in some of the other sports. Pair me up with your favorite 2 cappers and get yourself a deal. Make sure you use that 15 off and get 15% off all your purchases over at Pick Dogs Premium. But head on over and scoop something up. Let me help me make some money. Who doesn't like a little bit of extra Christmas money in their pocket?
Absolutely. Holidays are coming on here. We're just we're two months away from the day after Christmas. So, yeah, it's moving quickly here. So get on board here with Rod Zawacki over at Pick Dogs Premium. Great results here in hockey. 810 units of profit. All document over at Pick Dogs Premium. Rod's NHL hat trick tonight. Happy Wednesday to everybody. He's got 3 winners for you right now up there on the NHL. So get on board there. Credit guarantee must turn a profit or the amount you purchase is credited back into your account. That's credit guarantee. The $15 bookie buster is up there right now. He's 9-2 in his last 11 plays with that bookie buster. So you better get on board right now with that one. $15 as well, credit guarantee. A lot of individual plays as well here from Rod. And the way he's running, you may consider that 1 month all sports pass. Get all Rod's premium plays for a month, 30 days. That would include all his NHL for 30 days. Also would include all his college football. His NFL has been on fire here. So get on board here over the past 7 days with Rod Zawacki. And of course, he's got the NBA. College basketball is also in play with that 1 month all sports pass. So you can get on board there. Now, if you're just into the hockey, Rod, you put together a NHL VIP season pass as well.
Yeah, definitely. My NHL VIP season pass. You can grab it for $500. Use that promo code 15 off, and it'll work out to be 425 for the season. And as you see, we've almost doubled that up already. So definitely that'll pay for itself in no time. Grab my season pass in the NHL. That way you don't miss out on any of my NHL plays. And we'll make you some money in the NHL. One of my favorite sports to cap. So grew up with it. It's just one of those things. Being in a Canadian, you must watch hockey.
You must watch
95% watch hockey.
For
me, growing up, it was the Saturday thing to do after dinner. You got in front of the TV, the family got together, and you watched Saturday Night Hockey.
That's right. It's a tradition that continues on to this day, and it's a great one there. So get on board with Rod Zawacki. Use the promo code 15 off at checkout, and you'll save 15% off on that long-term pass on the NHL VIP season pass. When you do the math, it's $75 off. Really good value, so get signed up. All right, Rod, as always, great having you on your show. Keep up the great work, and we'll talk with you again on Friday, Steak Friday.
Steak Friday. Thanks for having me. Enjoy being here as always. Appreciate everybody. Hey, hit that thumbs up. Costs you nothing. Helps us out a ton. Appreciate everybody. Let's get another winner, and we'll see you guys Friday for Steak Friday.
Steak Friday here. All right, Rod, have a great evening. Rod Zawacki here on the Drive. So, guys, if you missed any of our picks, we will do a complete recap here at the end of the show. Let's get to my pick. I'm waiting here for Dana to sign us. We'll get to my pick right now. We're going to put my game up for you right now. We're going to be looking here at the Cavaliers and Magic top of the hour. Cavs going to be laying 8.5. The total sits here at 215.5. And I'm going to be here on this favorite. I'm going to take the Cavaliers at minus 8.5 here against the Magic. And, you know, this Magic team is just I'm not a big fan of. Also, too, in all fairness, again, it's been the injuries to the second unit, right? The Fultz, the Harris, the Isaac, the Suggs, and Wagner out. That's huge. Garland, Rubio, Windler out for Cleveland. Of course, Orlando, they're now 0-4. They lose there to the Knicks, 115-102. Just a poor shooting night. Just 7 of 35 for 3. Paulo Ranchero has been playing well. I think he's definitely en route to possible MVP. He's going to get the minutes, you know that, because Orlando's hurting right now. But Cleveland, they hit 39% in their last game from 3. And Donovan Mitchell got off, right? 37 points, 12 of 29 shooting. And one thing I liked in that game, in that win against the Wizards, and the Wizards have been a really good team this year. If you looked at them on offense and defense, they're playing very well to start the season. They really crushed the Wizards on the glass, pulling down 13 more rebounds. Mitchell, 37 points, and it was the bench that came through with 43 points in an overtime game. That was pretty good. Cleveland does sit 4th in defensive efficiency. They're holding teams 104 points per 100 possessions. They have a net rating of plus 12.3. The Magic, 23rd in defensive efficiency. They get up 115 points per 100. They have a minus 7.4 net rating. That's a variance of 19.7. And you have a spread in this game of 8.5. So I'm going to play the variance here and take the Cavaliers here at minus the 8.5 points. All right, guys, check out Pick Dogs. But I have a 3-pack and my best bet as well. Sold separately on the board, so get on board there. Also part of the 2-for-1 cap promotions. You can match me up here with, top cappers like Rod, like Sean Murphy. Of course, we've got El Ninos, Big Al, McMordie, Dana, and Mitch. 2-for-1 cap promotion, your best value right now over at Pick Dogs Premium. So get signed up. All right, let's continue on here on the show. By the way, if you missed any of our picks, we will do a complete recap here at the end of the show. So make sure you stay tuned for that. All right, we scheduled in Dana Lane in this segment, so don't see him signed in yet on our capper board. So let's see here. I just want to make sure. No, I knew he was on the board here. I knew he was on the screen to be on the show. I don't see him signed in yet. Let me double check something here. I'm going to check all my cameras. I got 8-9 camera setups here, so I just want to make sure that I had him in the full screen. Look, I do have him in the full screen, but he's not signed in. So we're going to, okay, no, Dana is not signed in. I see that right now. Okay, so we're going to go right into the board here, and we'll go ahead and bring in Mitch right now. I do have Dana's pick here for, we'll give it on the recap if he doesn't sign in. So let's go ahead and bring in Mitch if I'm over at Pick Dogs Premium, part of the morning show as well. So let's get in Mitch right now. Mitch, what's happening?
Nothing. I saw you on here giving out your pick. I figured that maybe there was a problem with Dana. Normally, I watch it out in the living room, and it goes Rod, Dana, me, and sometimes it'll go Dana, Rod, in that order. But I saw you reading your pick. I'm like, I think it might be my turn. So I came back into the studio, and here I am.
Great to have you here. All right, Mitch, here we go. 7:30 Eastern time, the ESPN TV game. We got the Raptors here hosting the 76ers. The Raptors were, I believe, favored overnight, now moved to the Sixers here, laying total 212.
Well, that's because Scotty Barnes questionable here. Otto Porter Jr. Doubtful for this one, so he's probably not going to go. And Melton likely to go here for the Sixers, so nobody out for them. But what we've seen from the Sixers historically is their play on the road isn't nearly as good as it is at home. And what we see from the Raptors is this is a team heading in the right direction. They've played a very tough schedule and a lot of road games in there. They had back-to-back games at Miami, split those, lost at Brooklyn, and then won at home the last time they were home against the same Cavs team that you were just talking about. So we know that that's a really good team, that Cavs team. They were favored by 3, won by 2.5 in that game. I just think the wrong team is favored here, and I think that the public is going the wrong way on this thing and is caught, kind of behind the woodshed here. Toronto, the last time these teams met really was a long time ago. They met in the playoffs last year, and it was Philadelphia getting the best of it in that series. So Toronto out for revenge here. But they've had good success against the Sixers over the years, and I expect them to have some pretty good success in this one. A borderline premium pick for me. I almost had this one as a premium. The line came out late because of the players, and I already had enough other picks, so I just figured I would give it a break and give it out here on the show instead. All
right, Mitch, here on the Raptors here plus the 2 against the 76ers. I do remember when Chris and I were doing the drive-through back during right after post-pandemic. What was during the pandemic when they started back again, back in home courts, and of course, remember it was the Toronto Raptors who weren't able to play in their home court, and we said the Toronto Raptors have a lot of people don't really realize that Toronto has a very good home court advantage, a very, very loyal fan base that really gives energy to that group. And that was the one thing I noticed when they were away from their home court is they didn't play with that same energy, that same push they had. But that home court is pretty strong in Toronto.
Yeah, it's also a pretty late hockey night, which also helps them out too. I thought it was pretty ironic that the Phillies, had a home playoff game the same night that the Eagles had a bye week. It was kind of just ironic the way that worked out. It was like, like I said in our NFL show, no planning, no schedule manipulation, no anything. It just happened to work out that way. And, for the Raptors, though, I think this is just a really good team. Doesn't get a lot of credit. Embiid really hasn't been pouring in the points this year. Getting Ben Simmons off the roster hasn't really helped them much. And, I think Maxey is an up-and-comer. But, James Harden probably at the tail end of things for him as well.
Yeah, that's something you mentioned there with the road performance by the 76ers. Their only road game was a really bad one against Boston where they give up nearly 130 points per 100 possessions. It's always the defense, I think, that goes south with the 76ers on the road.
Yeah, the 76ers, traditionally really, really good at home. But in that Boston game, they weren't even close, and that was a game that a lot of people seem to be on the Sixers in that one. Yeah. Like they are tonight.
Yeah, it's what they last saw, right? They last saw that Sixers win, but they're going to see the Raptors here at home here. Splitting that game, those two in Miami. Miami off to a bit of a slow start. And that's been one of the big line movers tonight is that the Portland-Miami game.
Yeah, Miami's also had a really tough schedule, too. I think, in the NBA, it just seems this year is actually top-heavy in the way that I mean that most of the teams are pretty good this year. It seems like in the NBA, there's very few really, really bad teams. Very few teams that are kind of going to be competing for that, lottery pick. But, the Heat they drew a tough going. The Celtics, Bulls, and, back-to-backs against the Raptors. So, 1-3 against those teams. I think if you went 1-3 against those teams at any point, of course, you'd like to at least split, especially with a lot of those games being at home. But Heat, not so fortunate.
Yeah, it's weird. The teams we thought that were going to tank. We saw Utah, San Antonio's winning games. It's Portland. I think with Portland getting that Jeremy Grant, that trade still boggles the mind. I thought, like I mentioned earlier, I thought that Cunningham and Grant worked together in Detroit.
Yeah, I thought so too.
And now we're seeing Detroit probably looking like the worst team in the NBA. Mitch, you're on the Raptors here, +2 against 76. So I'm asking this question, Mitch. It's kind of a weird year. I know World Cup gets a lot of interest from a lot of people. It's the largest tournament in the world. But again, with the scheduling, it's going to be a tough cover for handicappers this year, being in November.
Yeah, not only is it tough in November, also the time zone, it makes it really difficult as well. I don't know how popular it's going to be. I know that there was a lot of controversy around this year's location for the World Cup, but you know, the timing of it makes it extremely tough.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Of course, and we're just now about a week a week from Monday. We head into college basketball with a monster
Normally,
car. Good.
Normally these games are like at in July, like around
Yeah.
4th of July is the final. Is usually around that time. So it kind of goes up against baseball, and that's what I know you're going at. But when we look at some of these times of the World Cup, you look at some of the early games, 5 a.m., 8 a.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Wales, USA. The 2 p.m. are the late games, so that's 11 o'clock on the West Coast. It's this is going to be a tough watch out there.
Yeah, it's going to be no doubt. It's going to be a tough watch indeed with the way it's set up here in this year. But again, looking here, of course, college basketball, Mitch, is just a week, a week from Monday away with a monster card. I don't know if you looked into it. Not too many marquee matchups to start the season.
No, not like it usually is, but there'll be plenty as the season goes on. One thing that we've seen in recent years in college hoops is no one really afraid to play anybody. During the regular season. We've had 2 seasons in a row with a ton of cancellations. This season, I'm expecting 0. Maybe a weather-related event here and there, but not like the Baylor-Gonzaga game regular season being canceled like we saw last year.
No, we'll go right to it. Okay, we'll go a little off the rail with Mitch, and we like to look at some of the college football. Notre Dame and Syracuse. Mitch, Syracuse open 1.5. It's now up to 2.5, total 48.
This is simply not a very good Notre Dame team, but when Notre Dame plays against these ACC teams, they have fared extremely well, covering 5 in a row. Syracuse just looks really, really good, and they didn't get it done against Clemson last week. But I don't think there's any shame in that. There's going to be a lot of teams that don't get it done against Clemson.
TCU at West Virginia. TCU opened 6.5, now up to 7.5, total 69. We saw West Virginia in a dog roll get the job done against Baylor on a Friday night.
James Clark always says if you see West Virginia against a quarterback that can run, take the quarterback that can run. I'm going to take the quarterback that can run in this one.
There you go. Ohio State and Penn State. Penn State at home here. We got Ohio State laying 15.5. We're seeing at 16 right now in some of the real sharp book in Vegas in this one.
Just seems to be too many points for an Ohio State team that really hasn't been on the road much this season. And at the same time, I thought they were pretty vulnerable last week against Iowa. I know I was wrong. I liked them on the money line. And, I just thought it was one of those games where it was worth a shot. And, I also had Florida International on the money line, plus 13 and that, they're 13.5 point dogs in that game. So more than made up for it. But I think this is another one of those spots. It's just worth taking a shot on the money line as well here against Ohio State. I don't think this team is that good.
Arkansas and Auburn here. Arkansas coming off an impressive win at BYU, showing that big muscle against that BYU team. Arkansas is going to lay 3.5 on the road, total now up to 62, up from 60.5.
Auburn is not as bad as the record states. Brian Harsin probably is last year on the Plains, but I think that barring it, I don't know if he beats Alabama, if he keeps the job or not. It's really he's even at that point. But I do like their chances this week against an Arkansas team that I think is pretty vulnerable defensively. And when you look at Auburn, it's not like they're getting blown out of the building. They've been playing fairly well.
The biggest weakness is that secondary on that Arkansas team. I don't know if an Auburn can exploit it. Oklahoma on the road here, Iowa State. Oklahoma, it was a pick-em. Now it's up with Oklahoma favored 1.5, total up a point to 56.
I don't have a lot of faith in Oklahoma this year, and I think it's a lot of the same issues. And I think we're seeing this with a lot of the first-year head coaches this year. Will Venables isn't excluded from that, but the first-year head coaches who filled in for coaches that left or were fired, I think that they've had a lot of problems this year. It's been magnified. Normally, players can leave if the coach leaves, even before there was the transfer portal. If the coach left or was fired, then you were given a free pass to leave. But nowadays, they're already locked and loaded and ready to go even before the coach is fired. So you have mass exoduses of players, and it's like you don't have really a lot of control of what positions these players are at. and so you might end up with 6 tight ends and no linebackers. And I think that's what we're seeing at places like Miami. We're seeing it, in this game. We're seeing it in Notre Dame. We're seeing, Will Venables is able to recruit players at Oklahoma. My guess is he's going to be able to get the very best players. He's going to get the boosters for the image licensing that he needs. He's going to, he has the reputation for coaching up defensive players. But, when you're the first year in, and you're especially, recruiting being all year now, and it's not like there's National Signing Day is in February anymore. It's early, and so you need to be on the recruiting trail early. And then when you lose these players on top of that, and you don't have time to fill in the gaps, well, you start behind the 8 ball. And like I said, you could see it at the major jobs, where this has happened. Miami, Notre Dame, Oklahoma, and it doesn't. I think these are throwout years for all of those coaches.
All right,
I think even at LSU, I think Brian Kelly, going into LSU, or Ed Orgeron, was one of the best recruiters. A lot of players left LSU, and Brian Kelly has some of those holes.
Oh man, well, he's looking good there. Look out. Cincinnati at UCF, the Bearcats are in the top 20 now. UCF opened a point. They're now up to 2 in a lot of books now up to 2, total 56.
Well, UCF has been running the ball very, very effectively. Cincinnati right now projected to be that group of 5 team in the major bowl game. So they're playing with a lot at stake here. I'm going to guess that this game might be an eliminator for that position. So I don't know. I think Cincinnati, Luke Fickell just seems to find a way. I like the way UCF's been playing. I've been betting them plenty, but yep. I don't know. I think Cincinnati has been flying under the radar too, and they're used to winning at this point.
All right, we got there's Oklahoma State at Kansas State here. Boy, Kansas State getting it done. Oklahoma State open favorite in this game. We have a new favorite now. Kansas State -1.5 total, down to 56.
Yeah, I was watching the Mike Gundy. I was showing my wife Mike Gundy on the sideline. I played her on the I'm a Man, I'm 40 on YouTube. On just this past Saturday, we were watching it, and I showed that to her, and she didn't really care all that much. She kind of nodded and acknowledged that it was on, but that's about it. But I think that, this Kansas State team is good, but, once again, they get nicked up or anything like that happens to their quarterback or running back, they don't have a ton of depth. Oklahoma State just seems to be a deeper team. I think, if it's played straight up, take Kansas State, not, Oklahoma State, but this is just, probably better places to be. Just seems that these Big 12 games between the top teams, unless you can get a nice dog like we had Oklahoma State last week against Texas as a dog, I think, getting like 8 points or something ridiculous. I think it was like plus 220 or something on the money line on Oklahoma State last week. It's like you can't just dive into these things. There's just better places to be.
You mentioned a former quarterback, K-State, on one of the shows. Was it Colin Klein that you mentioned? Was it? Were you talking about?
Yeah,
he's
Colin Klein.
He's a quarterback coach at Kansas State now.
Is he?
He is. They project him as possible head coach. He's the coaching, and he's actually coaching Martinez this season. He's a quarterback coach.
Boy, we won a lot of money on him in the West Virginia game that year.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Keep an eye on him. He may end up in the coaching ranks. I would probably start, like they usually in this lower mid-major. He may end up there, especially with what he's done with Martinez this year.
Yeah, some of these quarterbacks, whatever happened to this guy, quarterbacks. That's where you start to see them. We see Ken Dorsey running the Bills offense, right?
Yeah, Timmy Chang. Who would have thought we'd see him as a coach? Who would have thought?
Well, they're starting to buy into what he's selling, and I have to tell you, he's another guy that walked into a program where almost half the roster was gone when he got there. So another guy that if he can get those Hawaii players to stay home. I mean, Hawaii, they grow quarterbacks on trees there, and they have defensive linemen, offensive linemen. You could build a reasonable program there. We've seen Timmy Chang played in the Sugar Bowl. Yeah,
he certainly did. And as we continue on here with our look here with Mitch here on college football, Florida and Georgia. Georgia here laying 23, up here from 21.5, a total 56.5.
Well, this is a rivalry, but the games are rarely close in the cocktail party. And, I just think that this year, I think I don't know if Florida has the quarterback play to get it close enough. I don't think Georgia is as good as they were last year, but I don't think the quarterback play of Florida is good enough. And Georgia will be fired up for this one. And one thing you know about the cocktail party is if coaches have a chance to run it up, they always do.
Yeah,
these are the games where it's like they score the first touchdown and the entire bench clears to celebrate in the end zone. I mean, that happens in this game. So
awesome.
This is one of the great games in college football where the stadium is split right down the middle, and you could see the orange and the red. Just you could see it in the crowds where the line is drawn, and they play this one at a stadium exact distance from the Florida campus and Georgia campus, just neutral site in Jacksonville. But,
all right, Mitch, we'll end it here. We got Dana just signed in. So any last words for roll?
You got choppy there.
I got chopped there. Yeah, no, I said we'll end it here. Dana just signed in here. So we'll get to Dana and we'll get to the recap. So as always, great having you on the show. We'll talk with you again next week.
Thanks, everyone, for joining us. We got our Become a Capper contest starting December 1st. So if you want to be a handicapper, stay at Pick Dogs and part of the team and on the drive-thru with Tony. Guys like Jay Briggs, guys like James Clark, guys like Jovan Burtz, guys like Mills, all the guys that make me and Tony sound old or uncool. Like, it's like when Mills comes on, he's like, yeah, I'm going to go to the association. It's like, I could never get away with that, No. Right? But Mills sounds like so cool. Right?
Yeah.
It's like, that's where we find these guys is our Become a Capper contest. So, by all means, I'll set out the rules. They'll be out there with plenty of time to spare. It'll be on our Twitter account at Pick Dogs. So make sure you follow our Twitter account at Pick Dogs. You want to become a handicapper, Pick Dogs. It's something you always wanted to do. I get tons of emails about it. Now's your chance.
Now's your chance. So
thanks, everyone.
You got it. Mitch, you're on address. We're going right to Dana. Dana, you got a World Series series play for us tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and Tony, the bottom line to this series is pitching, and both of these teams come into this series with fantastic pitching, as we know, but it's the bullpen for Houston that I think is going to be the difference in this series. And unfortunately, we didn't get to see these teams play a lot this past year. They only played the last 3 games of the season. And, if you kind of rip those games apart, we know that Houston pretty much dominated. They won 2 of the 3, but the fashion in which they did, outside of losing that first game 3-0, they came back and beat Philadelphia 10-0 behind Verlander. And then a 3-2 game, which looked like it was close, but really a couple runs in the 8th inning for Philadelphia. That was the only 2 runs for them. So Houston, for the most part, dominated that game. And I also think there's a big edge between Rob Thompson and Dusty Baker. I mean, Dusty Baker's a guy that's been in this game for a long time, and this is Thompson's first taste of a big-time atmosphere. So I also put the edge with Houston as well. Now, it's interesting with Philadelphia, when Bryce Harper went out, they decided to play obviously they took a hit with their power and they decided to play small ball. In fact, I don't think a lot of people know they're 5th in Major League Baseball in stolen bases. So they really, once they get on base, they're very aggressive. But I think that aggression is going to be held back just a little bit with Harper in the lineup. I do think that Philadelphia is going to get a great outing out of Nola. I think Houston is the better of the 2 teams. But, Tony, really, I look for Houston to win this series. I think it's going to go 7. And on top of that, for each game, I think I might just ride with the under. I mean, both of these pitching staffs are fantastic, and Houston's not going to give anything up on the back end, so why not?
All right, Dana, we'll continue our conversation in just a little bit because we're up here against the Hawks. Let's get to the recap, then we'll get back to this game and we'll let everybody know what you have going over at the site. So let's get to the recap. We're here at the top of the hour, so we'll get that in right now. Let's see here. Let me pull this off the screen. All right, here we go. Al McMordie was on. Dana will help us out in this segment. Al McMordie here with Hawks laying 7.5 against the Pistons. Ninos was on Spurs +9 against the T-Wolves. Sean was on the Heat laying the 2.5 against the Trailblazers. Rod on Blues -110 first period against the Oilers. Dana, Astros to win best of 7 World Series against the Phillies -185. Mitch on the Raptors +2 against the Sixers. I'm on the Cavs laying the 8.5 against the Magic. Dana, other than your pick, which one do you like the best?
Well, for instance, I mean, I really like the St. Louis Blues, that first period pick. Now, I don't get into these first period games very much, just because I don't have a database that helps me out with this. But for the most part, I think St. Louis or Edmonton rather, after their big win, I think they obviously could come out a little bit lethargic. So I like that minus 110 in the first period. And I also like Toronto plus a 2 over Philadelphia until I can see Philadelphia stop spinning their wheels a little bit. I'm going to go against them until I know that I can rely on them from a financial standpoint.
Yeah, I agree there with the Raptors here, +2 against the Sixers. That's our recap. Let's get back to Dana here on his game as we're looking here at obviously on the World Series here. The play here is the Houston Astros to win this best-of-7 World Series. It's been, again, with Houston, it's been a lot of clutch hitting, but again with Philadelphia, they knocked off the Braves. They had a really good series here against the Padres. That home field seemed to spark them a little bit.
Yeah, they've been terrific in the home field, Tony. In fact, they've won 61% of their games at Citizens Bank Park, and that's something that you're going to have to think about when they go back there. I don't love, obviously I don't love laying $1.85 in the series, so I'm more interested in looking at that run line because I think Houston is going to be a definitive favorite, certainly at home. So, from my standpoint, I'm not going to put a lot of money down on that, but yeah, for sure, when Philadelphia gets back home, I mean, especially, can you imagine, Tony, if this series is 1-1 going back to Philly? I mean, these guys are going to be lathered up, and I have been part of that crowd many, many times. It is there are some relaxed atmospheres in Major League Baseball. Philadelphia is not one of them, and that's going to be tough for Houston to go in. And keep in mind, too, that will be the first taste that the Astros will have of that Philly crowd all year. So that's something that they're going to have to contend with as well. But I just think top to bottom, no, I don't think Houston's got – I will say this, Tony. If I'm Aaron Nola or any of the Philadelphia pitchers, it is how you're going to decipher this game or how you're going to break it down is, are you going to be able to get Houston hitters to chase? And that means you're going to have to get ahead in the count. And if you get ahead in the count, obviously you're in control to throw balls out of the strike zone and make them chase. Sorry about the cat. That has happened a lot. I mean, even when you talk about Altuve, I mean, it's a guy that will chase that slider out of the strike zone. So it's very important for Philadelphia pitchers to get ahead in the count to be able to utilize that strength or the Houston weakness, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah, and of course, so it's Dusty Baker's time, right? He's gotten so close, and I know he gets a lot of criticism about some of the moves he makes, but he just gets the players play for him.
I mean, I don't know how much criticism you can have for him. I mean, it's a guy that, I mean, even obviously if you have a lineup like Houston, I mean, it's you roll it out there every day, and you're pretty much going to guarantee to win 90 to 100 games, which they easily did this year. But it's his ability to take that bullpen and to masterfully manipulate it. That to me is the difference between a good coach and a great coach. And I think Dusty is a great coach. He still doesn't have that ring, but watch him manipulate that bullpen this past year. I think he's pressing all the right buttons. So yeah, hey, look, I mean, we know that Rob Thompson came from the Yankees, and there's plenty of pedigree there. But this is his first time running the show, and he's been able to go deep into the postseason. But I think that Dusty Baker experience, I think that will also play into as a positive for the Houston Astros.
You talk about experience. Dusty Baker was on the on-deck circle when Hank Aaron hit that when he passed Babe Ruth.
Yes. It's amazing to me how long, I was looking up today, Tony, it's amazing to me how long Dusty Baker's been in this game. And you think back to the Giants where he made his mark, obviously, as a manager. That's been a long time ago. And for me, it doesn't seem like that long, but looking up on Baseball Reference today, it's been a while. This is a guy that's been in the league over 20 years, well over 20 years, obviously. And to not have a ring, he's been close a couple of times, but not to get one. It's hard not to root for him because even when you watch videos about him coaching specific players and the way that he coaches, I just, you walk away from those and think, how could you not want to play for this guy? So yeah, it's the Astros, and you can have your feelings towards them, whatever that is, but man, it is really difficult to root against Dusty Baker.
Yeah, even Dodger fans root for Dusty Baker. I mean, that's
Right.
why he was such a nice
Well, of
guy.
course they would.
He was such a nice guy when especially kids that grew up watching Dodger games in the pavilion, and he was a left fielder. He was so nice to the fans, acknowledged fans. Was so nice. That's why there's the people. This people will root for the Astros, even though that cheating scandal, because of Dusty.
Well, what a great move by the Astros to bring him in. I mean, it's a guy that you can't root against, and they certainly needed that at that one point. And it's crazy, Tony. I mean, just to go in depth about this, when you think back about where the Astros were 6-7 years ago, and the fact that they averaged 104 losses for 3 straight seasons, and now they changed ownership, and ownership said, okay, look, we're gonna tear this down for a couple of years, and then we're gonna build it right back up. And boy, have they? You could say what you want about how you feel about the trash can incident, and that's been well documented, but outside of that, I mean, this has been a winning franchise except for one season since they have changed ownership, and that's not easy to do, and that's not done with a trash can. So, for as much criticism as they receive as an organization, they really should be praised, especially when you're like me and follow a organization like the Pittsburgh Pirates that haven't been in a World Series since 1979 and just cannot make the right moves ever.
Yeah, well, the whole trash can. He says, I give partial blame to their opponents. How can you not figure this out? How could you not have caught that? I Tommy Lasorda, Sparky Anderson, Billy Martin, all those guys would have sniffed that out. We wouldn't have gotten away with that for 2 innings. They would have sniffed it out.
I mean, my goodness, yes. I mean, look at all the things. I mean, look at all the things that you are constantly looking for. I mean, the other day with give me the Padre pitcher with the shiny ears that they went out and they said, hey, we noticed this on your ears, and of course it ended up being nothing. But these people are looking for these things. They're supposed to be looking for things. I mean, if you got guys that are trying to steal Joe Musgrove, I knew it came 30 seconds later than I needed it. But I mean, if you got guys on the bench that are trying to find, to steal signs and really trying to find that extra element. I mean, it's crazy that they haven't been able to. Nobody came up with this in a day and age, Tony, with plenty of audio and video of every game. Nobody came up with that, and nobody knew that it was happening. It wasn't just them. It wasn't just them cheating. We know that, but they will take the brunt of it, and the Yankees, of course, will be able to skate from any criticism.
Definitely, no doubt about that. All right, Dana. Dana's here on the Astros to win the World Series here against the Phillies. All right, Dana, let's take a look over at Pick Dodge Premium. Of course, we have a big NBA card tonight. Good start to the NBA season. 10 games on the board here, as well as some on the ice. What do you have going over at Pick Dodge Premium?
Yeah, we got one game tonight. So Utah Jazz and the Houston Rockets, and I apologize for the one game, but this is a week where my kids' schedules are all over the place. So that's all I was able to get up this morning. Apologize for that. We'll definitely make that up tomorrow, but I do like the game that's up there right now, so I encourage you to get involved with that. It is a low discounted price. So, I mean, if you've never joined me for an NBA season before, 2 years ago, we had a phenomenal season, and pretty good start to this year as well. It usually takes about a month or so for me to both NBA and the NHL to get a kind of a grasp of these things. But good start. We're happy with that. Clearly want to get that up to around 1,000 units as quickly as possible, and we certainly encourage you and ask you to join me all season long by either getting the individual games or the long-term packages.
That's right, guys. Get on board with Dana Lane over at Pick Dogs Premium. Guys, that play up there for you right now, Rockets and Jazz, top whale winner. Get on board with that. Of course, these are credit guarantee. Must turn a profit or the amount you purchase is credit back in your account. That's credit guarantee. The long-term passes, why don't you try Dana Lane out for a 7-day all-sports pass. Get all of Dana's plays here from the NBA, as well as NHL, NFL, college football as well. So a lot going on right now. And the World Series, you get the first 4 games of the World Series there with that 7-day all-sports pass. If you extend it to 30 days, of course, we'll add college basketball, which begins a week from Monday, Dana. The Rebels will be in action. We don't have UNLV hockey on the board, so we don't have to worry about that.
No, I can't wait to the day where you do have UNLV hockey on the board, because that means that they're Division One, and they're on their way to doing that. But yeah, college basketball is nuts. I mean, and this is a time that for me, where I document every game, and I basically put everything into a spreadsheet and into this algorithm that I have. I mean, it is a busy time of year. It is a time of year where you don't get any sleep. And I always would measure the worth of your handicapper by how awake he looks. If he looks like he got a good night's sleep, I really question this time of year how much effort he put into the games. But I could tell you there's been some 2 or 3 hour nights here already. So when college basketball starts, certainly might even cut into that. But nap times are awesome.
Yes, nap times are awesome when you can get them. But make sure you set make sure you set an alarm when you take a nap, because you don't want to get up and have a 4-hour nap. That's the worst.
Every single day, because it's like I take a nap. Kids got to get picked up from school, and it's like, great, I got an hour and a half. And the best feeling, Tony, is when you wake up from a nap before the alarm goes off. Somehow that means that you've gotten enough sleep. That's rarely happens.
That's important. Now, you're in Vegas. What has been your thoughts so far on the Vegas Golden Knights? Then I'll let you go.
Pleasantly happy, pleasantly surprised. Mark Stone has looked really good, as good as he ever has in a Vegas Golden Knights sweater. And if you remember, I don't know if I said it here on the radio show, that you have back surgery, and it is it is 50-50 whether you're returning 100% or not. You might be even happy returning at 90%. And Mark Stone has been absolutely fantastic. Thompson has been great in net. I told people this 1,000 times that I feel way more confident with Thompson in net. Now, they have a lot of goaltenders in that in that organization right now that they're going to have to make some decisions on. Aiden Hill looks pretty good. I'm not sure if I'm leaning on him for the most part. Of course, he had a good effort against the San Jose Sharks, his whole team, so he was inspired to play well there. But let's see how things go down the road. I'm still apprehensive of leaning on, leading on a guy that has never had 80 to 90 points before in his career. So Jack Eichel is a guy that, say, look, we're going to give you $10 million and we expect you to make to be 90 to 100 points. Never has done that, has always struggled to stay healthy for various reasons. That is a question mark for me. And I also think that they need to get some production more from the blue line, but this is more about the way that they're going to play this year. They're going to play more of a zone defense, if you will, and keep teams to the perimeter. That's always every team's goal, but I think they're going to make much more of an effort, and they're going to start to transition off of defense this year. So I think speed-wise, Tony, I think they look great. I think Logan Thompson looks great in net. I feel a lot more comfortable with him than I ever did with Robin Lehner. And I think so far, so good. A good effort against Calgary. Should have won that game. If they won that game, they would, they'd be rolling right now. Still need to see them play well against the better teams, which is Calgary and Colorado. But outside of that, they're really taking care of business so far.
They have. All right, Dana Lane. Guys, get on board with Dana Lane. Long-term passes, knows his NBA, knows his hockey, knows his football. Get that 1-month all sports pass right now. 15 off at checkout. We'll save 15% off your purchase. All right, Dana, as always, great having you on the show. I know we went a little overtime, went into the shootout round with you. Have a great night.
Hey, it's my fault because again, schedules, kids drop things in your lap last second, and I actually just came in the house and I said, I'm going to log on and see if he's still on, and I'm glad that you were, so you can keep me on as long as possible.
Oh, appreciate that, Dana. Have yourself a great evening. We'll talk next week.
All right, you too. Thanks, Tony.
You got it, Dana Lane here on the drive. All right, guys, we'll continue on here. You got my pick. We got the recap, but for those who missed it, let's go back to the recap for you. Some games may have started, but we already went through the recap, but I'm going to do it again for you guys a second time. So Al McMordie was on the Hawks laying the 7.5 here against the Pistons. Al Ninos was on the Spurs here at +9 against the T-Wolves. Sean was on the Heat laying 2.5 against Trailblazers. Rod Zawacki Blues -110 first period here against the Oilers. Dana likes the Astros to win the best-of-7 World Series here against the Phillies. Mitch was on the Raptors +2 against the 76ers. This game will start here in about 15 minutes, and I'm on the Cavaliers laying 8.5 here against the Magic. That's going to do it for this edition of the Drive-Thru, guys. Be sure to tune in again tomorrow live here at 6 p.m. Eastern time. We'll do it all over again. We'll bring in our cappers in from Pick Dogs and Sports Chat Place, and we'll get our live free picks for the games in prime time. Don't forget to get started every day, 10 a.m. Eastern time with the morning show. You got Mitch, you got Rod, you got Chris. Lots of stuff going on right now. Great stuff going on over on the Pick Dogs YouTube channel. They just shot the NFL show with Mitch, with Big Al, with Jay. A lot of free picks, game-by-game free pick rundown on the NFL here coming up for this week. It's action, week 8 action, so you check that. There'll be the college football show will be tomorrow. Also up there, we've got the parlay video of the day from Javon. The Puck Dogs NHL picks. I know Mel had asked about where the NHL picks. Check out the YouTube channel on Pick Dogs for the NHL rundown videos with picks with Chris and with Rod Zawacki. Also, we have Romanelli's rundown, and we also have a lot of other great videos, like on the UFC weekends on Saturdays. We've got Mills, and we also have Brad Francis with his show, so with the UFC show together, working together with that. So again, lots going on. Mitch's 7 picks in 5 minutes. Don't forget that. Lots going on over at Pick Dogs YouTube channel. So get signed up, and of course, you want to make sure you subscribe, and you want to make sure you set notifications so when we drop videos or we're live, you're live with us here on the show. All right, that's going to do it here for this edition of the Drive-Thru. Let's go ahead and bring our large crew from Night's show. We're going to wave goodbye, guys. You guys have a great evening.